leads us on its way. We're sticking to our guns. We've got a chance to make a difference in this life. But I wonder if you're leading me on. And I don't wanna be your back door. You've held me up, and once enough for me. I'll be there as soon as I can. We wanted more, so let's plan less. The other shoe was bound to rest. The headlight leads us on its way. We're sticking to our guns. We've got a chance to make a difference in this life. But I wonder if you're leading me on. And don't you wanna be tired of all these things, scared of living in the past? And don't you wanna be free from all you see, not scared it won't last? We're sticking to our guns. We've got a chance to make a difference in this life. But I wonder if you're leading me on. We're sticking to our guns. We've got a chance to make a difference in this life. But I wonder if you're leading me on.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Future Plymouth. Today's topic is our community's response to the climate emergency and carbon reduction. And my super panel this week is Jessica Vaughan, is Planning Officer at Plymouth City Council. We also have Polar adventurer Anthony Jimman with us, and also Caroline Blacker as well from POP. As usual, there'll be a Q&A at the end of the programme. So as we go through it, please submit your questions by using the Q&A button or through the chat function. And I'm going to hand you over, first of all, to Jessica Vaughan. So Jessica is Planning Officer at Plymouth City Council, and she's going to explain to us about the annual Plymouth Climate Challenge and the Back to Future live event that just happened in association with Crowdfunder. This initiative encourages anyone in the local community of Plymouth to propose initiatives with a positive environmental impact on the city, and rewards winners with significant cash injections for their projects, which sounds amazing. So without any further ado, Jessica, please tell us more. Over to you.
Hi everyone, hopefully you can hear me. I will just share my screen because I have a presentation. Okay, hopefully everyone can see there. But yeah, thanks for inviting me to speak today and to talk to you about Plymouth City Change Fund and the Climate Emergency Bonus and the Plymouth Climate Challenge events we've been running over the past 2 years as well. My name is Jessica Vaughan. I'm a planning officer at Plymouth City Council. Just a bit about the City Change Fund. It's not a new project. It's currently in its 7th year and it's been hugely successful. It was set up in partnership with Crowdfunder UK in March 2015, which works on a reward-based model and is one of the many crowdfunding platforms out there. You might have also heard of Kickstarter and GoFundMe. In 2019, it won the Excellence in Tech Within Planning Practice Award at the RTPI and also the Silver Jubilee Cup as well. And later that year, we were also one of the 3 cities in the world to win the Engaged Cities Award by the Cities of Service, alongside Flint, Michigan and San Francisco in the USA. And this award was to elevate and recognise the work being done in partnership with residents to tackle problems and come up with solutions. And this is one of the key aims of Crowdfund Plymouth and the City Change Fund, to build resilience in communities, to empower them, to help address demands development is placing on the area, and now also with the new climate emergency bonus and the events to help address climate change. In 2020 was when we introduced the new bonus and ran the first Climate Challenge event. And last year, this bonus and the event itself won another 2 awards at the RTPI as well. And it's also been featured in various reports too, including reports by Nesta and the Housing White Paper, not to be confused with the Planning White Paper, which just came out, but the one published in 2017. So just today, I'm just going to talk to you briefly about how it all began, why we decided to distribute money this way, how we set up the project, how it works, give you some stats on the amount of projects we've funded, how much money we've distributed and the impact we think is having, the review we went through in 2020, which is where we raised the amount we can pledge to projects and introduced the new bonus and the challenge, and some lessons learned and some next steps. So how did this all begin? It all began as the council has budget issues, and we really wanted to create a process which didn't require additional resources on time and money for the officers, and also make something that was quick for communities as well. We also recognised there was lack of funding in the voluntary and community sector, and we really wanted to create a project and a process which give power back to communities and also to help us engage with our partners. And a digital platform and crowdfunding was seen as something that we could potentially use, more time, more cost effective, transparency in the public domain, etc. We know people are doing amazing things out there in the community. How best can we support them? And also it was a way that we could do something new and exciting as well. We were the first local authority in the country to start distributing funds through an online crowdfunding platform. We're definitely not the last. I think at the last count there's about 35 other authorities and also different organisations as well, such as Sport England, who are also distributing funding in this way. And the community infrastructure levy was kind of seen as a pot of funding that we could use to pilot this way of working. So I don't know if you're familiar with the community infrastructure levy, but it's a bit like a tax on development. And the tax is collected, 85% of it goes on to the big things that keeps the city running, such as the roads, green spaces, and 15% needs to go back into the local community. And it's that pot of money that we call the City Change Fund. And that's the pot of money that we distribute through crowdfunding. So why we decided to distribute money through a crowdfunding platform, we believe it puts power back into the local community, and obviously it's all in the public domain, so it's showing proof of public buy-in. It's an online and digital platform which allows for transparency. It's very clear which projects the council is pledging on and how much we're pledging on projects, and because it's digital as well, it allows for quick decisions. It cuts out a lot of the paperwork. It's admin light through the technology and the partnership working, and because it's so admin light as well, it allows more money to be allocated for projects. So rather than having to hire somebody, for example, to help administer a process, more of that money can be put back into the local community. And we do think that crowdfunding does offer genuine citizen engagement. So all the projects come from the community. We don't veto any of the projects before they go live on the crowdfunder website. It's inclusive, so a project of any size can go onto the website. So you could be looking to raise £100,000, but you could also want to raise £500 for a project. The smallest pledge the council has ever made is £250 to a project, and the biggest pledge we've ever made is the maximum of £30,000. And one of the reasons we all wanted to do this is that we recognise that a small pledge can make a big impact in the community. And also there's no minimum pledge for the public as well. So as well as the council not having a minimum how much we can pledge, it allows anybody to put £1 towards a project or more if they can or wish. So why we decided to set up, or how we set it up, the first thing we did was set quite clear criteria and priorities. There's regulations which say what the money needs to be spent on, but these are actually quite open. So it says to help mitigate the impact of development, but it can also be spent on other things as well. And also we have the Plymouth plan in the city, which is the one strategic plan for the city. So we wanted to make sure that the priorities were kind of aligned together. When we set it up, we recognised we wanted political support, and we've, as part of our process of deciding which projects to pledge on, we include a 5-day consultation with local ward councillors, because we recognise that they can be real champions for the fund and help promote the fund in the community. And the way we've set it up is that we can pledge on a project after a project hits 25%. And we take that 25% to show that there's, to prove to us that there's local support for the project. So for example, if a project wants to raise £10,000, we can pledge up to £5,000 after a project has raised £2,500. And yeah, we can pledge up to 50%. We've deliberately kept the criteria open to encourage projects of all shapes and sizes to come forward. And when we first started this, we also mapped in the city where the funding was coming from as well, to see if we needed to target specific areas of the city, which was seeing a lot of development come forward. Crowdfunding offers two funding models. There's a flexible funding model and an all or nothing model. The flexible funding model means that a project will receive money even if they don't hit their target. So if they want to raise £10,000, they only raise 8,000, they'll get the 8,000. But there's also the all or nothing model, where you'll only receive money if you hit your target. And they're the only projects that the council pledges on. And we decided on that because for the council, it kind of guarantees us that that project will happen. So if a project is saying it needs £10,000 to make the project happen, and they do only raise, say, 6 or 7, there's always that question then about, is this project actually going to happen? There's terms and conditions that projects sign up to help us safeguard the money. Is public money, so we want to make sure that the money is being spent on what the projects say the money is going to be spent on. And also, for example, making sure that it's not promoting a political party or anything like that as well. And we ask projects to submit a progress report to us a year after the project is closed on crowdfunder, or after they've spent the money, whichever is earlier, just to say, yes, we spent the money on what we said we were going to do, and this is what it was spent on. We do promote the fund through social media, various events like this one, and also through Pop Plus as well. So Plymouth Octopus Project, I work with Imogen to kind of help promote the fund. And we've also done some leaflets and end of year reports that you can view online as well. So how does it work in practice? So a project is uploaded onto the Crowdfund Plymouth website. Through the website, they apply for the fund and sign up to our terms and conditions. Every week, the council checks the Crowdfund Plymouth website for new projects, and we also get an alert as well if a project is applied for our fund. We will look at these projects, and we'll contact the project for more information if we need to. We'll do an assessment, and we'll also consult with ward councillors and the senior leadership team for 5 working days to see whether they have any comments or are aware of the project or any intel. And then if the project reaches 25%, it meets our criteria, we haven't heard anything back from the consultation, then we can pledge 50% to a maximum of £30,000. And then that green circle is showing the climate emergency bonus as well. So if a project is also helping to address climate change, then once a project has hit the 100% of its funding, so if they want to raise £10,000, they hit 10,000, then we can pledge an additional 25% to a maximum of £15,000 when they hit their target. And the idea behind that is that it's doing something extra to help towards climate change. And then if the project is funded, they've hit their target, we'll send out a progress report template, the congratulatory letter, and they should submit the progress report to us a year after the project is closed or after they've spent the money. This slide is just to give you an idea of the numbers. So you can see there over the last 6 years. So we're in our 7th year now. The first 6 years, the council pledged over $750,000 on 130 different projects. Those 130 projects have had over 15,000 backers. So that's the council and other people in the local community, other businesses, organisation pledging on projects and wanting the project to happen. And those projects have gone on to raise over £2 million. And what we're finding is that for every pound that is being pledged by the council, £2 is coming from something else, which we think is really great and really powerful, because it's unlocking all that funding in the city, going towards projects which we think are doing amazing work in the local communities. This slide is just to give you a flavour of some of the projects that we funded. So top left is Union Corner, which was a project we funded in 2015 and to bring a derelict building back into use. The middle project there is Collins Park Trust, which is protecting and improving local green space, and they've created a community orchard. Vision for the Pillars, the top right, is a public art project that we funded. Moments Cafe, a social enterprise which is on New George Street, so it's a dementia hub, so support for people living with dementia, and people can come in and offer free advice about the cafe. And also Stiltskin as well, so the Children's Soapbox Theatre in Devonport. And one of the reasons why I included this project as an example is we've actually pledged on this project more than once. So we're happy to pledge on a project again if the project is doing something different, and also if they've already spent the money from the previous project on what they said they were going to spend the money on. So in 2020, we reviewed the City Change Fund. And there was two main reasons for this. In 2020, the fund had been running for a couple of years now. When we first started in 2015, the maximum we could pledge to a project was £5,000. And obviously, since then, it's kind of grown. The amount of money we've had has grown, and we've wanted to get more money at the door. And also in March 2019, as you'll all be aware, the council declared the climate emergency, which was followed in December 2019 with the council agreeing the Climate Emergency Action Plan, affectionately called the CAP. And one of the actions of this was to complete a review of the City Change Fund, to look at ways and explore how we can encourage projects to come forward, helping to address climate change and the climate emergency. And this review proposed several amendments. So we rose the capped contribution from 20,000 to 30,000, and it was here where we introduced this new climate emergency bonus as well, because we're just aware that there's like so many brilliant things happening in the community, and if they can have a cash injection of funds to help it happen, then this can only be a good thing. And one of the ways we wanted to relaunch the fund and to promote this new climate emergency bonus was to run events. The first event was funded from the Engaged Cities Award. So from the award we won in 2019, alongside Flint, Michigan and San Francisco, we had a grant as part of that. And we wanted to put that back into the project. And we didn't just want to kind of add it to the pot to distribute. We did want to do something different and actually say, how can we help promote this fund and this new bonus that we've just created? So we decided to run an event called the Plymouth Climate Challenge Live, and this was to raise awareness of the fund, to celebrate the achievements, to launch this new bonus, to distribute more funds, and also to recognise and celebrate the role the local community can play to address climate change. We recognise at the council that addressing climate change can't just be done at government level, at city level, at local authority level. It needs to come at every level, and we want the more awareness of that, the better, really. And also, this is a brilliant way that we could just kind of give people and projects money to kind of help promote it and help make stuff happen. So we ran the first event last year. So we did a social media, a call out and a campaign. We sent out planning newsletters from the 14th of September to the 4th of October. We shortlisted projects which were meeting our criteria, which we thought helped to address climate change. As part of this project as well, they also received coaching from crowdfunder, so how to run a campaign, how to kind of build those key supporters and recognize who they are, so to kind of like build resilience, project management skills in the community. And this all accumulated in a live final, which was streamed live on YouTube. And you can see there the 3 projects which were the finalists in this event, which was Moths to a Flame, which was a mass art installation, which was installed at COP26 recently. We've had some, I don't know if you've been following them on social media, but there's been some fantastic photos and videos of them kind of showing everyone all these moths that everyone has created. Project Pollinize, which was a project to equip every student in the city with rewilding seeds, and the 1,000 Tires project, which went on to win the project, which the event, which is to collect dumped tires in the Sound and to bring them back to the surface and do new and amazing things with them. So as part of this event, this first event, we shortlisted 7 projects, which got a £250 kind of starting pledge. The top 3 got 2.5, and then the winner received an additional 5,000. And then, as Miles was hinting, last week we ran our second Plymouth Climate Challenge event, which again, we think has been really hugely successful. We had some great projects come forward. We did another social media campaign, open for entries through Twitter and Facebook and our planning newsletter. The projects received coaching from crowdfunder of how to run a crowdfunding campaign. And we also had another live final as well, which was a bit more of a blended event. So it took part in the immersive dome at the Devonport Market Hall. And also it was again streamed live on YouTube and via LinkedIn as well. So this time the event was funded through the City Change Fund itself. So first prize 20,000, second 12.5, third 7.5. And if there's a list of shortlisted projects, and if they launch their campaign before the 1st of December, they can get a starting pledge of £1,000 as well. So lessons learned, what we found over the last 6-7 years is that we think this is a new way of distributing money, which seems to work. As I mentioned, other organisations, other local authorities are following our lead. I think there's about 35 local authorities just using crowdfunder alone to distribute funding, and Sport England as well. So for example, if you've got a project dealing something with our sporting community, then Sport England might be a fund that you might want to look into. We recognise that there's further culture change needed. This is a very new way of distributing funding. It's very different to anything that's been done before. So there's a lot more kind of reassurance to projects, to officers about how it works. What we have found, though, is that the reception has been overwhelmingly positive, but there was a lot of scepticism initially and work to get the concept approved and get it up and running. And we wanted to make sure we were putting those safeguards in, such as the terms and conditions, such as the progress report, to make sure that the money is being spent on what the projects are saying they're going to be spent on. It was a small pot of money, which has now grown. So we've obviously had to manage that over the last few years. And one of the main feedback we've had is that potential projects may be nervous of failing in the public domain. Obviously, crowdfunding is in the public domain. It's very transparent, it's very clear. So there's a lot of kind of reassurance to projects to kind of give it a go. And also don't underestimate how much kind of work that needs to be put in the background of identifying who your pledges are going to be and how you're going to build like a social media campaign around a project to gain the momentum and spread the word. And also as a council, we can sometimes feel pressure to pledge on projects which don't necessarily meet our criteria as well. So we've always got to manage that and be aware of it. So next steps for the project, we want to continue to grow awareness of the fund. So we recently worked with Photo Now to commission a series of videos. So I'm sure you'll get the slides after this presentation. If not, I can put the links in the chat. But there's an explainer video explaining how the fund works, and also a playlist of videos from various projects that we funded, kind of talking about their experience of doing the crowdfunding campaign. We want to continue to promote the climate emergency bonus and the importance of helping to address the climate change and celebrate the communities helping to address it. We've recently reviewed our terms and conditions, so hopefully this making it easier for people to know if they're eligible. And also we adopted the new joint local plan for the city as well, so we wanted to ensure our priorities are up to date and aligned. And one of the things I'm really keen to do is to kind of grow this ripple effect. So Borrow Don't Buy, for example, which is one of the projects we funded, which is for a library of things in the city. So rather than going to a library and picking up a book for a small fee, you could borrow a chainsaw. It's a library of different things. And they organise crowdfunding meetups throughout the year. And also We Are Low Profile, which is a art project that we also funded. She has written a blog and also created a Facebook group to support new and emerging projects. And also as well, we may run the Plymouth Climate Challenge live event again in year 3. So if you do want to find out about that in the next coming months or next year, I encourage you to follow the Plymouth Planning Twitter page, Facebook, and also to sign up to our newsletter as well. And if anybody's having trouble doing that, they can get in touch with me. And that is it. Happy to answer any questions now, but I think there's a Q&A at the end of this after Anthony and Caroline have spoken. But yeah.
Thanks so much, Jack. Thank you so much. Everyone, get your thinking caps on, come with some projects. Yeah, Q&A session at the end, so but please get your questions in for Jessica for the end. So next we have, actually before that, I have some exciting news which you might have seen on the introduction. Myself and the Future Plymouth team attended the Abercrombie Awards last Friday. And we have some good news that we won the best response to the climate emergency. So we're really pleased about that, and well done to all the team involved, especially Sarah Lee, who puts this all together behind the scenes for us. So yes, well done to her. So next we have, yeah. I think we needed something like that, yeah, like a round of applause or something. Thanks, Sarah. So next we have Polo Adventure Anthony, who has been rushing across London to get to us this afternoon. So thanks so much, Anthony. He's just got to his hotel room in the nick of time. So he's going to talk to us about his explorations through both poles and the Education Through Expeditions program, and also his response to the Plymouth Climate Challenge, Our Planet, Your Path. So I'll put you over to Anthony. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Well, good evening, everyone. So I'll just share my screen and bring up my PowerPoint. I did not get lost in any way, shape, or form getting across London today, trying to find the hotel before this. So if I can just slideshow. Home. Oh, hang on a minute. Sorry, I'm just trying to. Oh,
that's the 6th one along at the top, Anthony. Just says slideshow next to animations.
Oh, it's coming up with the bar for Zoom. Hang on a minute. Is it one of?
Yes, that one. Yeah,
that one, isn't it? Cool. Right. Okay. So we're away. Stopwatch on the go. So yeah, my name is Anthony Jimman. So born and raised in Plymouth, and probably at the age of 8, I always dreamt of one day seeing a penguin in real life. I learned about the rich history and heritage of Plymouth. I learned about Captain Scott and Antarctica, and at the age 8, I was inspired. I was inspired to one day, hopefully, go and see a penguin in real life in Antarctica, because it was so alien to what was on my doorstep growing up in Plymouth. Now, why was that important? Because our city's children need inspiration. Yeah, now more than ever. Yeah, coming off the back of COP26 and all of the issues that our future generation is going to be facing. So we need to do more in terms of supporting grassroots projects and educational projects. I've literally been to the ends of the earth doing climatic research, and I've seen firsthand how the polar regions are changing, and we need to do more. That is what motivates me now more than ever, to engage with young people in not just in Plymouth but all over the UK. So my background is I became the 12th Briton to ski to both the geographic North Pole and solo to the geographic South Pole. So this was me going to the North Pole in 2010. The expedition to ski from Canada to the pole is actually no longer possible. So they stopped flying up to the most northern part of Arctic Canada back in 2012. So the fact that less than 200 people have ever done this, and there's a big debate that we'll ever do, continue to do this in the future, is an interesting one. And that was because the weather had become too unstable for flights to operate in this part of the world at a time of year where there's very little visibility and light. But this expedition, I used to be Plymouth University's Explorer in Residence. I'm now the museum's, the Box's Explorer in Residence. But for this project, we were collecting samples on algae blooms and diatoms, looking into climatic modelling of the Arctic sea ice, which was a absolutely fascinating subject. And we were a team of 3, 51 days on moving sea ice, travelling to the geographic North Pole. So climate research at its most extreme, and temperatures down to about, the coldest temperature we had was -65. So incredibly cold part of the planet. But I just think it's amazing that there's a place on our planet that is logistically so difficult to get to, and that just blows my mind. So I'm very, very lucky to have experienced those 51 days living at between -5 and -65 on moving sea ice in the world of polar bears. In 2013-14, I skied to the geographic South Pole solo, and this was motivated to connect schools in the city online, so that myself and a panel of 24 polar scientists were all able to answer questions from children and teenagers, and we could respond back. And why is that important? Because it makes learning real. To be able to get a response from a real scientist who's working on Antarctica is incredibly powerful for a young learner. That's inspiring. That's making topics real. So I've actually done a number of crowdfunding campaigns recently. So Jessica's presentation was really, really interesting. We've a couple of years ago, or before the pandemic, we were taking children from Barnbarton out to Arctic Finland to meet the Sami people and learn about the Arctic, and they were live streaming their experiences back online so that other school children could ask them questions and engage with. Our Planet Your Path, our climate hub, is currently crowdfunding, and we also have my next expedition, which is the Shackleton anniversary expedition, which departs in literally the 10th of December, so not long now. And I'll tell you a little bit about that one. So we now know, thanks to Blue Planet and David Attenborough, that we have a major plastics problem in our oceans, and microplastics, of course, contamination, on our beaches, in our rivers, in the soil, kind of all over the shop. But we don't know what the extent of the problem in Antarctica. So microplastics from business and industry goes up into the atmosphere, enters the water cycle, and then comes back down to back down to the on land or in the ocean as rain or snowfall. So interestingly, researchers literally just before the pandemic have found microplastic contamination in penguin poo. So we know that microplastics are in the water, in the ocean, and in actual fact, it's being ingested as well by penguins. So this is kind of quite groundbreaking research, really. So the Antarctic Quest expedition is to celebrate that heritage of our city. Yeah, Shackleton, his final expedition, departed Plymouth 100 years ago. And we're a quite large team, actually, heading down in the memory of Shackleton to commemorate his life. I'm the co-expedition leader with Paul Hart, who's also from Plymouth. And we're going to be doing a whole range of climatic research down on the Peninsula of Antarctica. So Shackleton, his final expedition, as I said, departed from Plymouth. And not many people know that, in actual fact, this was his final expedition. He got down to South Georgia and unfortunately had a heart attack at night and died. So this was his final expedition. Everyone remembers the Endurance expedition, but this was his final trip, and it was a scientific kind of expedition heading down to the south. The expedition continued, so we are again in that memory commemorating the memorial, which is on the 4th of January, of his life, as well as doing our own science work. And all of this will be online and engaged for children to engage with. So just looking into that, into that science. Basically, I'll just move my screen so I can see my slide properly. But here we have Antarctica, and of course the ozone layer over Antarctica. We're seeing that is becoming what is still very, very thin over Antarctica itself. We have our business and industry, here on the rest of, we said some other continent, not trying to put names, but we're all guilty of this. Yeah, business and industry giving out CO2, other metals, as well as microplastics are entering the atmosphere, and of course it's spreading all over the world. Yeah, so the winds are carrying those metals, those microplastics down onto on Antarctica, and of course as the temperature is heating up because of the greenhouse effect, then actually the ice is melting, and we hear that quite often in the news. So one of the projects that we're doing actually is looking at ice loss and isotonic rebound, which is where we're actually going to be putting in a GPS station on an element of rock that can be used to identify how the landmass is actually kind of increasing in height as the ice is melting off the peninsula of Antarctica. So really, so that's just demonstrating there that we're not quite sure just how that rate of the lands rising up is occurring. So that's that project, and this is our route. So we're skiing across the peninsula of Antarctica. This is really, really mountainous, over 2,000 meters in height, juts out into the Drake's Passage in the Southern Ocean, which is ideal for us because there's an awful lot of snowfall. There's a lot of precipitation. So our route going from the west coast to the east coast, establishing that GPS unit, and then skiing back again as well, and collecting and doing other research along the way, including cloud observations for NASA, which is hugely exciting. So doing some ground truthing and helping with their modeling and predictions of the climate down in this part of the world. And the other one as well is the microplastics. So actually, when these winds and this climate occurs down on the peninsula and hits those mountains, then that's when we get the precipitation, and those metals and those microplastics are all coming back down into the snow. So we'll be doing snow sampling along the way and collecting those readings and results for Plymouth University. So really groundbreaking stuff. Lastly, as well, our last project is looking at UV radiation, and again, that's tying in with Southampton University's research as well. So this is what the Peninsula of Antarctica looks like. Very mountainous, a lot of snow. Temperature-wise, it can actually be plus 5 to 10 degrees this time of year. Previously, when I've been to the peninsula, we've actually had it even like plus 15, like very, very, very hot. Yeah, mountainous, snow, crevasses is our biggest risk as well. So just a bit of an idea of what the weather is like actually on the peninsula. Then this is a little video of that. I'm hoping it's going to play through Zoom, but you can see very, very windy. We're dragging our equipment in sleds and staying in tents. So yeah, just to give you some of the living conditions there on the plateau itself. We also have an issue with crevasses. This is us training what to do in the eventuality that we fall into these crevasses, which are normally covered in snow this time of year. So out in the Alps, this is a bit of a training project. And this is just a video of what it's like to actually fall into a crevasse. So this is Paul Hart, co-leader. And then we're roped together if this happens. And then we can literally pull people out using a rope system. And he's out. So this happened on a previous expedition in 2012 for real. Literally skiing along, kind of Martin out in front, kind of fell through. So the snow you can see in that middle photo is covering those crevasses, those cracks in the ice. So he literally just disappeared. This is him actually taking photographs and a bit of film footage from inside the crevasse looking up. So okay, so going back to that inspiration, my aspiration was to see a penguin in real life. So skied all the way to the South Pole, 2013-14, got to stand at the pole 102 years after Robert Captain Falcon Scott got to the pole, and didn't see a penguin on the entire trip. So all of the wildlife actually lives around the peninsula of Antarctica, so along the coastline and the rest of the coastline of Antarctica as well. So I'm lucky enough that now this is my 7th project down to Antarctica, and I've completed now about 24 projects all in total, whether in the Arctic or down south. Now, my expeditions and my research projects give me the mechanism to actually do what I'm really passionate about, which is actually going into schools. Yeah, so I've got a little not-for-profit, Education for Expeditions. We have now, this is Goosewell School on the left. We've now visited over 1,000 schools. I was the UK's only representative during the IPY as an educator. So during the International Polar Year, my role was to help link polar science into the curriculum. And so I founded an international organization called Polar Educators International, so that we could develop a whole series of science activities and workshops that have now been run and delivered here in the UK through Education for Expeditions to over 150,000 students, which I'm really proud of that achievement. So I'm not an explorer, I'd say I'm an adventurer, but more passionately, I got my honorary doctorate for education. Yeah, so it's actually working within education that that I'm most passionate about. So we have a program where we have ambassadors who are young and aspiring polar scientists and educators that actually come and volunteer and work for ETE, and I train them on science communication, and they go into those schools and deliver our program. So just as an example, at the moment we've got Anna, Becky and Bryony that all work for doing a PhD and a master's at different universities and with British Antarctic Survey that are available to go in and to do school talks, as well as the expedition team and myself as well. We take flags to Antarctica from schools. Delighted that we've actually got over 75 schools and counting at the moment. So helping to, again, make that, learning experience engaging. Then we take their school flag that we make ourselves down to Antarctica, photographed with penguins. They can track the progress of their flag, and they can ask questions to our ambassadors, our scientists, and our team members, and then we can respond back using satellite communication. And all of this is done through our web platform that I built myself, which is called Like to Be. So when when you leave school, what would you like to be? So Like to Be is very much around promoting green career pathways, and not just promoting but educating about the green agenda and the climate crisis itself. So this expedition, as well as all of the organisations and our ambassadors, other conservation and environmental groups can, and the employers who have green careers, can actually host online events to help raise young people's aspirations to being part of the solution, not feeling like they're part of the problem. That I think is such an issue with that young people are reporting at the moment, the anxiety of not knowing how they can help. They know that the rainforests are being cut down and burning. They know that there's issues with our ocean and acidification and plastics. And like, if all of us were to ask ourselves, were we learning this at school? Then I know, for one, that when I was doing my GCSE, geography, some 25 years ago, I was learning this. Yeah. So how do we become part of the solution, not knowing we're part of the problem? So we need inspiration. Yeah. We need legacy. All of us need legacy to our lives. Yeah. What can we pass on to our next generation? Like Shackleton, he left a legacy of inspiring stories of science, of endurance, of endeavors. But we need, we can all leave a legacy, and we need to leave a legacy in Plymouth. Yeah, so I need your help. Yeah, everyone who's listening in on this call today, I need you to go and spread the word about what we're doing. Yeah. And what we're doing is I want to leave a legacy in Plymouth city centre. I want to take a disused or a vacant shop, and I want to turn it into a climate change hub. Yeah, this is Our Planet, Your Path. Those amazing projects that Jessica was talking about earlier, kind of community grassroots projects that often operate on small budgets, that are doing amazing jobs, amazing work, especially engaging with the public and with young people, often work in isolation or in silos because they don't have the visibility on a high street. Yeah, we can't individually, kind of rent a shop. Yeah, it's just too expensive, right? So, but we need to raise our profile. We need to engage with the public. So what we're proposing is a grassroots climate change hub right in the city centre. It will become a visitor attraction for people coming into the city, and it will be an opportunity for those organisations to come in and to be part of a programme of workshops and events that we can actually help kind of teach and educate kind of young people, their parents, a general public in general, because we're all learners at heart. Yeah, and we can come in and we can listen to talks, presentations, workshops. We can hang out in the cafe. We can indirectly learn about conservation projects and the wonderful work that so many grassroots organisations are doing right here in the city. And we can hear about the employment opportunities, yeah, that actually are making all the big difference. And we can help develop the green skills of our future generation to actually go into those workplace opportunities as well. So this is integral, in my opinion, to helping to solve the climate crisis. So what I'd ask from you all today is come and check out Our Planet, Your Path on Crowdfunder. Tell all your friends, yeah, talk about this project and the fact that we need your help to make this climate change hub a reality in Plymouth city centre. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Anthony. A fascinating talk there. Thank you so much. And please put the link to your crowdfunder in the chat. I think that'll be really helpful. And good luck on your next expedition. I'm sure you'll have lots of questions for Anthony, so please put it in the Q&A for at the end. So finally, we have Caroline Blacker, who's going to talk to us about her Plymouth Climate Challenge. Caroline is really passionate that many of our post-war flat roof buildings in the city centre should be retrofitted with bio-solar roofs, which I totally agree with. And so over to you, Caroline.
Hello. Great. I'm here, I'm just starting. First of all, I'll start by gushing about what Anthony has just said, and isn't it great, I've got to follow penguins. I'm so excited to hear what Anthony said, because it ties in so much of what I'm going to tell you now about the idea for green roofs in Plymouth. I should also apologise and say I was asked to do this quite late, so I've cobbled together a few slides which Miles is very kindly going to drop in for me. I'll start by explaining who I am. My background is journalism, and today you'll find me doing the press releases and some of the comms for Plymouth Octopus Project, which Jessica mentioned earlier. But the thing I've been doing in my spare time for over a year is I've been trying to start an initiative to put green roofs on top of some of Plymouth city centre buildings. Now, I did a Master's in Sustainable Development some years ago, and then after that worked as a Code for Sustainable Homes assessor before the government scrapped it. And I've been very interested in buildings, the built environment, and for some reason, particularly green roofs. And I kept a bit of paper from what was then the Centre for Sustainable Futures up at the university, of a student who, for his dissertation, had computer modelled every flat roof in Plymouth city centre with 3 varying depths of a green roof to see what difference this would make on stormwater runoff. He's an engineer, he was a coastal engineer, and he was interested in flooding and sustainable urban drainage. And when I saw the round of the Climate Challenge Fund just over a year ago, I thought, oh, this is exciting, this is my moment. And I found Alex, and we got very excited talking together about this, and I put in an entry, and I was accepted as one of the final 10 projects to go forward. And I had loads of amazing conversations with people, including the Theatre Royal, who in principle gave me permission to put a bio-solar roof on top of the fly roof, that's the big one at the Theatre Royal. And all this, there was huge momentum, it was all very exciting, and it was about to go live on the Monday, and on the Saturday evening at 5 o'clock, I sat in front of the television and watched as Boris Johnson announced we were going into lockdown 2. And that meant that I felt I had no choice but to pull out of the competition. Primarily two reasons, or you can't really say primarily two, but primarily the reason was the Theatre Royal, which had been working so hard to set up 4 shows in November and December, now had to pull those. So I knew they would have to put all their energy into pulling these shows. And secondly, I knew I couldn't approach local businesses and say, could I have some money, please? So I felt I had no choice but to pull it. But things kept moving. I kept meeting people. I kept having amazing conversations with people, and all this energy and enthusiasm for this idea kept going. Miles, I'm going to ask if you could show some of those photographs of the city centre. Now, these were taken by Richard Scroker, who is the chairman of the Plymouth Society. No, the Plymouth Civic Society, that's the right way around. And he took them from the top of the Civic Centre. He got access to the top of the Civic Centre as one of the last people to do so. And he took photographs around 360 degrees from that vantage point, looking out over Plymouth. And you can see that post-war Plymouth has so many flat roof buildings. And what I learned recently, which is very exciting, is that many of these buildings were never completed, and they have a steel frame, so the point at which they stop would be ready and strong enough to sustain that green roof. Now there you can see the fly roof of the Theatre Royal is the tallest one. And we did a site visit, myself and Gary Grant, who is the director of the Green Roof Consultancy in London and has advised on the City of London plan, which now says that all new developments in the City of London should have some form of green infrastructure. Gary very kindly came and met me in Plymouth, and we got access to the fly roof. And it's just so exciting because we want to put a bio-solar roof there. There you are, looking straight down onto it. So the bio-solar is the green roof embedded with the photovoltaic panels. So you get that additional benefit as well. And I would now be saying, where it's appropriate, why wouldn't you put PV with a green roof? So here's some of those benefits of a bio-solar roof. In fact, what Alex and I want to do in Plymouth is we actually want to go one step further, and we want to call it a blue-green bio roof, where it's part of our sustainable urban drainage system. So you can see here that we've got under the levels there, you've got underground storage, permeable pavings, reduction of sewage loads, storage. All this is a sustainable urban drainage. It would help to reduce the amount of stormwater runoff that we've seen this year in Plymouth. There's, I'm sure you've all seen the photographs. I know there's one there, Miles, where I put in one of just the roads. Oh, that's a very nice one. I think it's at the bottom. That's a very nice one, the green roof, Chicago City Hall. But the benefits of green roofs, bio roofs as well, are so many. So you've got obviously the photovoltaics that would be generating energy. You've got the reduction to stormwater drainage. You've got the improving air quality, filtering out and improving water quality as well as it goes through the substrate. You've got increases in biodiversity, and it also helps to protect the maintenance of the building, the green roof, as well as reducing the energy load and consumption of the roof with air conditioning in summer and heating in winter. I just about got through all those benefits. So this is our plan, but it keeps getting bigger, it keeps growing and getting bigger. So we actually want to set up a community interest company. We're hoping we might get funding to do a pilot project. If we can do a pilot project, then we can get lots of data to show many things. We've got a lovely student at the university who wants to work with us to see how much carbon can be stored in the green roof. We've already got Alex's data on how the stormwater can be held back and how it can help reduce flooding. We can look at the increase of biodiversity. We can look at the energy consumption and the energy generation. And if we can do this with one, we can replicate it. we can deliver like a package. So here there is a document that was written in 2010. It's the City Council's Green Infrastructure Delivery Plan. I'm sure you can read this for yourself, but it states in that new and innovative ways of managing flood risk will be required. And it talks about increase in rainfall, the increase in water intensity, and that flooding in urban areas is going to get worse. Now, in the city centre, there's flooding in that bottom area. We've seen the Mill Bay development with the rainwater gardens, but there's also out by West Hoe, isn't that just, I mean, visually that just, yes, it's a very strong image, isn't it? And we're going to get more of this. We're going to get more of this, and we've got these Victorian combined sewers. And what that also means for Plymouth is our new marine park out in the Hoe, Plymouth Sound, and extending towards the Tamar Valley and Jenny Cliff. We do have at least one storm water runoff. Now, as I understand it, and this isn't my area of expertise, but at certain times, South West Water is allowed to discharge that storm water runoff into West Hoe. Now, we want to see if we can work with South West Water. They would be a great partner for us to look at the ways we can use sustainable urban drainage, the ways we can use green roofs, and to introduce that blue element, the blue element of storing water and reducing the flow. And we've seen that green roofs will also help to filter out and improve the quality of that runoff as well. We talk about sponge cities. I think this is great. I think we could turn the ocean city into a sponge city. Not quite sure on the branding and the message of that yet. But Plymouth has been described by Gary Grant, the director of the Green Roof Consultancy in London, as having the potential to be one of the leading sponge cities in Europe. We've got those roofs. They're just there waiting to be used. And I think we've got the enthusiasm now, and I think we're starting to get the interest. And what we can do is, if we can get the CIC off the ground, is then we can talk about new skills. So Anthony, you were talking about employment opportunities. The nearest green roof installation company is in Poole. They're the ones that have been working. They're called the Urban Green Consultancy, I think it is. They're in Poole, and I've spoken to the director there, and I've asked him, and I clarified this, and I said, are you saying that you would be willing to come to Plymouth and work with this particular firm and to use your expertise and to share that expertise and teach us how to do it? Yes, he said. There's also a construction skills certificate in the installation of green roofs. I've spoken to City College, I've spoken to people about apprentice schemes, and we really think that this is something that we could get into, that we could create new jobs, new skills. Anthony, it'd be great to come and share your building, hang out in the cafe, and that building could have a green roof. I think that's the Pearl Assurance building, the Pearl Assurance building opposite the Civic Centre. I mean, the Civic Centre could have a green roof as well. I'm hoping Urban Splash might see some sense in that. This building that you're looking at now this is really interesting. This is in Swansea, and as you can see, it's their old Woolworths building. Now, we have one of those, and quite recently, somebody said to me that apparently the planning for Swansea was replicated on Plymouth, or vice versa, but it can't be because Abercrombie and Watson designed Plymouth. But when you read this document about the biophilia building in Swansea that the Welsh government has produced, and it's a substantial document, you start reading it, you think, it could be Plymouth. Everything I'm reading here about Swansea, all the descriptions of the city, about its location, where it stands, the former Woolworths building, deprivation in the town centre, I think this could be applied to Plymouth. And planning permission has been granted for this amazing building, which has aquaponics, it has a fish farm, it has an urban farm, it has residential, it has commercial use. And you get so excited thinking, oh my goodness, we could do this in Plymouth. Why can't we do it in Plymouth? What's stopping us? We've even got an empty Woolworths building. So it would be great, wouldn't it? It would just be great if we could get this started and get one project off the ground and then replicate it across Plymouth and turn Plymouth into one of the best green cities in the world. I think that's it, Miles. I think I've come to the end.
Oh, thanks so much, Caroline. What an amazing idea. I absolutely love it. I think for your passion, it's got to happen. So thanks so much for talking through us that evening. If you have any questions for Caroline, please put them through now. And while you're doing that, I just want to remind you all of our next webinar. It'll be on the 1st of December, so Wednesday, 1st of December. And the topic will be retrofitting buildings, the elephant in the room. And so far, we've got Claire Pearce, who's the project manager of the Sustainability Hub, Low Carbon Devon project, and Nadine Weltz, who is an architect, is going to be with us. So that should be a really good one. So please join us for the 1st of December. You can book online now for free at futureplymouth2030.co.uk. And also, whilst you're there, please sign up for our mailing list to keep up to date with all the stuff going on with Future Plymouth. So, does anyone have any questions? You're all a bit quiet tonight. Thanks again to all our panel. Some really interesting talks there. And some really great comments coming on the chat. Anyone have any questions this evening? Could this be the first time we have no questions? Sarah, go ahead.
Hi, no, sorry, I'm just going to quickly add that we've also got Doug Eltham from Devon County Council has agreed to join us on the 1st of December, just on the back of what you were just saying. He's been really instrumental in the Devon climate emergency. So anyway, park that. Thank you all so much, guys. Those presentations were wonderful, each of them. It was really good to hear what's been going on. I mean, Anthony, wow, you know, what experiences you've had. My son was watching that. He's 10 and he wants to come and meet you and get you to come and talk to his school again, get involved in your next trip. And Caroline, what enthusiasm. I mean, I've heard you talk about this project before, but not in that much depth. And yeah, thank you. I'm happy to do whatever I can to try and make that happen. Let's get this Theatre Royal project underway. And Jess, thank you for coordinating all this. And we've got to help you, I think, promote it even more in advance next year, so that people know this is coming and can prepare, you know, their projects and their initiatives to just get as much exposure and as much support as possible. It's brilliant. What to ask? I know that Anthony can't stay with us until 6, and actually we probably won't go until 6 today anyway. But yeah, Anthony, you know, what can we do to help you, our Future Plymouth 2030 community? I mean, I know you've plugged your sort of crowdfunder and your Like to Be network, but you know, we're I guess primarily involved with the built environment and construction industry, but obviously it's just seeing those effects of what we're doing. I don't know, what can we do to help you with your shop idea maybe in the city centre?
So yeah, good question. I mean, we would like to have it as a community space. So you know, there will be the opportunity for to do events in the space. So if you're an organisation that would be interested in maybe doing a meeting or kind of like some sort of like public facing workshop of some description, then we'd be really keen to hear from you. And if there's any way in which potentially that maybe some sponsorship opportunities or kind of I did see about yeah, it is going to be an art space as well, so we are looking for like art kind of exhibits and other bits and pieces to go in there. So I think Judy, yeah, I'd be very keen to touch base and have a chat with you about the work that you're doing as well. So we're basically completely open to ideas. Megan, I know, is here this evening. She's one of our co-founders as well, kind of on the project. So it's got to be grassroots. It's got to be community led. We're sending out a survey at the moment to other organisations in how they would like to use the space. So yeah, basically, it's word of mouth. We need as many donations as possible. Jessica, we've got an application that's been submitted, I think, literally a couple of days ago. So we're pushing hard to that, to our 50% target. I think we're on 41%. Without being a bit cheeky to everyone listening today, but if you could put in just £5, yeah, which basically gets you a cup of coffee when our cafe opens, then buy in advance. Yeah, kind of grab your coffee now, donate to the crowdfunder, and you'll have my personal thanks for ever and ever and ever and ever. And if you want me to do any school visits, flags to Antarctica for your children, then we can do all of that. We leave on the 10th of December, so drop me an email. It's probably the best way. My plug. Yes. So yeah.
We've got a couple of questions coming in now. People are waking up. Elizabeth, if you still have a question, please raise your hand again. And for you, Caroline, Anne says, excellent project, Caroline. Meanwhile, I'm concerned about the amount of ground space cemented over with that appears no control. My understanding is that there's no more than 3 3x4 can be covered without planning permission. Is that true? Do you know much about that?
I don't know anything about that, but I know people are covering their driveways now. So where there was grass before, people are now covering it with some sort of hard surface. And also people are putting down artificial grass in their gardens, and things can't live in artificial grass.
That's probably more of a question for Jess, actually.
Yeah, I don't know the detail of planning permission. You'll be able to find out online, and there's a planning portal website. I think it's planningportal.org.uk. It tells you kind of what you can do with householders, so how big you can extend your house, etc. And it goes into detail. But yeah, I don't know off the top of my head. Sorry, I don't deal with a lot of planning applications.
They've got a point though, haven't they? I mean, with the biodiversity emergency, it's a bit of a shame when people do things like that. It just demonstrates a real sort of lack of understanding of what they're doing. So yeah, that's a good point. Not one that Caroline can solve though. She's looking up in the air rather than down on the ground.
Well, that's brilliant. Well, thank you so much to all our speakers this evening. Anthony Jimron, Jessica Vaughan and Caroline Blacker. This will be online tomorrow on our Zoom channels, up on our YouTube channel even. So if you'd like to watch again and have a look back at the slides, but please join us next time on Wednesday, the 1st of December for our next webinar. Have a good evening. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Sarah, are you still there or have you left?
I'm still here. I'm not sure whether we're online though.
Oh, are we?
Hang on, maybe we can have a chat after.